So I'm just going to start off with a couple of norms today. And it's really just two. But I ask that everybody come here and be here with an open mind. There's going to be some questions that you have that I may not have the answer to, and we may need to get back to you. Um, and there may have been things, if you were here yesterday, there may be new information today, because information just changes daily right now. And then the other norm that I'd like to have us all keep in mind today is to presume that we all come with positive intentions, that best serve our students, our staff, our community, and we're just doing the best that we can to serve everybody involved. So I'm going to jump right in to our presentation. And I'm going to share my screen to do that. I thought I had the right screen up, but we'll see what I have. No, that's not what you want to see. I did this yesterday too. Maybe if I had a third day, I would have it the right one. All right, there we go. Okay. All right, so you should be able to see a full screen right now. And that should say August 14th. But welcome again today, and thanks for spending some time with us just to learn what school is going to be like this year. So just jumping right in, last week, Friday, Governor Ige and Superintendent Kishimoto introduced a reopening plan, and they had 3 phases identified. And so I'm just going to go over that really quickly. So phase 1 is to start next week, Monday, and that was to last from 8/17 to 8/20. So basically that's next week, Monday through Thursday. And what they wanted that to be was they wanted that to be in-person student training, where students come to campus to learn how to access their distance learning tools, since we will be in distance learning for the first part of the year. Phase 2 started on the next Monday, on August 24th, and that was to go through September 11th. And they called that the Ready to Learn phase. And so that Ready to Learn phase is where students begin actually working online. In phase 3, that was to start on September 11th, or that was to end on September 11th and begin on September 14th. That was the next Monday. And that's where we transition to blended learning. So that's where we would actually now start what we had planned. That's when school buildings were going to reopen for students, and they would return for that blended learning. And we had the orange and yellow groups coming on their assigned days. So I do want to put in a specific date here on September 8th. So that's towards the end of phase 2. Superintendent Kishimoto is going to make a call on whether or not we are going to return to campus or the 14th as planned for phase 3, or if we are going to continue with distance learning. And that will depend on what the COVID-19 numbers look like. So those are the 3 phases of learning, 3 phases of reopening, as laid out by the Department of Education. So every school is kind of taking those 3 phases and making it work for their school and their community. So what I wanted to do was just go over what that's going to look like at Kaimiloa. And for this first one, so our original phase 1, and this is the phase 1 that all of you had been talking about with us, your teachers had been calling and letting you know, because we were going to have on Monday and Tuesday, half of our oranges were going to come. And then on Tuesday, the other half was going to come. Then on Wednesday and Thursday, half of the yellow on Wednesday and half of the yellow on Thursday. Excuse me. So I'm sorry, if you look at the columns here, where it says hybrid, so the orange and yellow, those are our hybrid groups. So those are the parents or families that decided, yes, my child can come for 2 days on campus and 3 days off campus. In this second row here, we have DLO. Those are for the families that decided my child's just going to participate in full distance learning only. That means they're not going to come to campus. And then we have our special groups for students a select group of students who really just need the face to face or a different setting. So the biggest change came here with our hybrid group, where we were introducing half of our orange on Monday, half on Tuesday, and then half of our yellow on Wednesday and half on Thursday. And then we were saying families not comfortable in sending their child for their assigned day, that's fine because we understood that some parents are really nervous about this, that they could have just come and did a drive through to pick up. Okay, so after yesterday, this is now not what we are doing. So we are not going to follow through with this plan. And I will explain why. Yesterday, there were several shifts. And administration and staff are making the best decisions that we know how to make with the information that we have in our hands. And so yesterday, we had 355 cases of positive COVID tests. There were 2,500 active cases of COVID. The numbers were going up, and there was a little bit of a messaging shift, even from our governor and superintendent, where initially the focus was all students would return for face-to-face teaching on how to access distance learning. And then yesterday they really focused on, hey, wait, it's just going to be by appointment only. So this is not the plan that we're going to follow. That brings us to this. So this is what we will be doing next week. Again, you're going to notice the rows. We still have our hybrid students. So those students that are assigned orange and yellow, and we're going to come 2 days on and 3 days off. We still have our distance learning only students, the families that decided for right now, this quarter, my child is not going to attend face to face. And then we still have our special groups. So for our hybrid students, we will be having Orange Group will pick up their devices on Monday. So they're not going to come and stay on campus, but we do need them to come and pick up their devices on Monday, and that time is between 8:30 to 10:30. And then teachers will be meeting online with students as they schedule their times with them. So they will communicate that with you. On Tuesday, there will be a full day for teachers to meet online with students. And that's where they will still do what we intended to do face to face, which was to teach them how to access their distance learning tools, show them what they're going to need to access to get their lessons, how to submit lessons, what their expectations are. So it will still be a week of getting to know what the distance learning tools look like. So that's Monday and Tuesday. Then on Wednesday, we're repeating that same thing where our yellow group is coming to pick up devices on Wednesday. And again, the time will be between 8:30 and 10:30. And then they will meet with their teacher online. And then on Tuesday, there's a full day for students in the yellow group to be meeting with their teachers and again to learn how to access those tools. If you see here all the way in the right hand column that there are specific times, and that's just to keep the traffic flowing and moving so that we can pass out the devices. And along with devices, there will be materials that teachers are sending home with kids. So, you guys have already brought in your supplies. So teachers are sending home some of their composition books and their pencils or crayons that they may need to be able to complete work. They'll be sending home any of the textbooks that they'll need during this time that we're outside of school. So on the orange group or the way that we're doing the times is preschool and kindergarten. Their pickup time is at 8:30. They should finish at 9, and then at 9 o'clock is grades 1 and 2. 9:30 are grades 3 and 4, and 10 o'clock are grades 5 and 6. And so that will end at 10:30, and that's how we get this 8:30 to 10:30 time. For our DLO students had to pick up today. They will begin their classes on Monday. And so they're going to begin their classes on Acellus. And really, our DLO students will be, Acellus has a course or an introduction. So how to get online, what it is that they need to do to get started. We just sent out a packet. I believe Wednesday morning was mailed out. So parents that have, or all students are getting their Accelis password and login, and then they'll just begin to work online. For our special groups, they will attend class on campus as assigned. So that is our phase 1 here at Ka'imi Loa. And I see that Mrs. Santos has a question in the chat box.
Yes, Mrs. Pia, there's a question asking if they're unable to come on their designated day of pickup, how could they pick up their devices if they can't come on the scheduled day?
Great question. It would be wonderful if you can let your teacher know that you're not going to be able to make your assigned pickup day. But we will also have Tuesday and Thursday in the afternoon from 3 to 4 that you'll be able to pick up. But if you let your teacher know, like if you can't make it on the Monday because your child's in Orange and you can make it on a Wednesday, then we can have your child's things outside on the Wednesday. So calling your teacher and letting them know is the best way so that we can coordinate with you. Any other?
Yes, there's another question that's asking, would they be able to pick up multiple students' devices? They're in different grade levels. Would they be able to pick it all at one time, or do they need to still come at the designated times?
I have Mrs. Nakamura here. She's one of our vice principals, and she's been working on coordinating our pickup. So I'm gonna let her speak to that question.
Yes. Our parents who have multiple siblings will be able to pick it up at the same time. And I know that we have different times for the grade levels. So whatever time that you come, we will accommodate families that have more than one child at the school. Thank you.
Thanks, Mrs. Nakamura. Any others?
There is one last question. Is pre-K still going to school for one day or half day only?
So our preschool team has adjusted, and our preschool students will be coming for a half day right now. That's through the 11th until we hear what Dr. Kishimoto is going to have us do if we continue in this phase 2 or if we move into phase 3. If we move into phase 3, they will be going back into their full days. Good. Okay. All right, I'm going to move into phase 2. So phase 2 reopening at Ka'imi Loa is when the students are ready to learn. So now they've got their devices, they have their materials, they've met with their teacher, and they're able to get online. And so again, here I want to point out that we have our hybrid column for those students who are gonna come, that would be face-to-face some days and off-campus some days. Our distance learning only students who have selected at this time not to be on campus, and our special groups. For our online work, students, whether in hybrid or DLO, will be working with Accelis, iReady, and teacher-created lessons. And it looks exactly the same, no matter what group you're in, which is purposeful and intentional on our part, because all of the students are our students, and so they need to be meeting standards, and so we want them to be getting grade level instruction. The difference between the hybrid and the DLO with the online work is our students that are hybrid will have more of the teacher created lessons because eventually they'll be face to face with teachers, and our students that are DLO will actually have more of the Accelis work because they will be doing most of their work primarily online. iReady is an assessment that all of our students will do, and our hybrid students will most likely have lessons as well that they need to do on iReady, but our DLO kids might have that in addition. For online meetings, again, our hybrid students and our DLO students are looking really similar. The only difference being is you'll notice that online meetings, our DLO students won't be meeting with reading teachers, and that's just part of our tier 3, and you would need to have some face-to-face time here on campus. But both hybrid and DLO students will have meetings with their classroom teacher, and I've been writing this for our DLOs, with a designee. So because our classroom teachers are going to be doing face-to-face instruction eventually, sometimes they might not be able to get face-to-face, but we want our DLO students to also be able to receive that touch from somebody at Ka'imiloa, as well as for us to just be able to do that check-in. And then all of our students will be attending specials classes. So our specials classes are PE, performing arts, Hawaiian studies, and choose love. So our hybrid and DLO students will be attending those classes in WebEx meetings. At this time, during phase 2, because we're not on campus, there is no face-to-face for either our hybrid or DLO, and our special groups will attend on the assigned days. Any questions? Okay.
Yes, there's a question. If you could tell us what the process for the first day of school for distance learning will look like.
So Monday and Wednesday will look really similar, because it's the first day on Monday for the orange, and on Wednesday it's the first day for yellow. So they will be coming to school to pick up their supplies and do a drive-through in our parking lot. Teachers will be out there helping us, so they'll be able to say hi and just see who their teacher is. From here, like with a mask on. And then they'll go home, and their teachers will have scheduled to either have a WebEx with them that day, or they will have a meeting with them on the following day, on Tuesday or Thursday. So on the first day of school for distance learning, they will definitely be picking up supplies and possibly getting on with their teacher if it's scheduled for that day. Any other questions? Good? Okay. So moving into phase 3. So phase 3 is when school buildings are reopened for students to come back on campus. And I know that the governor and superintendent are really just looking at so that our COVID-19 numbers are lowered, and campus is a physically healthy, safe place to be. So on Monday, it's supposed to begin on Monday the 14th. Our orange group will come and be face-to-face, and then our yellow group will be online, and that's what Monday and Tuesday will be. On Wednesday, our yellow group will be face-to-face on Wednesday and Thursday, and our orange group will be online. And so, like I mentioned before, all of our students do have specials classes. And so when students have specials classes, they will have one specials class either on Monday, Tuesday when they're here, or on Wednesday, Thursday, and it will be for 60 minutes. And during that 60 minutes is when their classroom teacher will have time to jump online with the group that's at home that weekend. On Fridays, we will have our virtual Fridays, where our orange group and our yellow group are both online. So the schedule will look like on Friday mornings, students will get online and do work until about 10 o'clock. Then beginning from 10 till about noon, our teachers will be getting online with the students. And Friday is our early day, so school finishes at 12:25 on Fridays. Any questions in the chat? Okay. So now we're going to get to, once students are on campus, like how are we social distancing elementary school students? And we put in a lot of thought. And so what you can see in the picture on the left is well, I'll start with the right. So the picture on the right is we have purchased stickers and we've placed them around campus. And it's just to let kids know that that is 6 feet apart. So when they're waiting in the morning areas, or if they're waiting to get into their classrooms, they have visual markers to know this is how far apart that I need to stand from the person in front of me. So they're placed 6 feet apart, and the ones across from them are also 6 feet away. And so we have these all across campus. And so that's what they would see around campus, in addition to some of the signage reminding them to wear a mask, wash your hands, stay socially distanced. In our cafeteria, we have reorganized our cafeteria. So you can see that the 3 columns of tables are spaced pretty far apart, and they're 6 feet. And then if you look on the ground, you'll see blue arrows. The picture on the right just shows you what the bench looks like. So you'll notice that there's a big like line through the middle, and that's just to show students that they can sit on the end of the bench. So it's only 2 students per bench. And then the middle is not to be used because that keeps them 6 feet away. So that's what our cafeteria looks like. For the most part, we just have 1 grade level eating in the cafeteria at a time. I believe our max is between 60 to 70 students in the cafeteria. And our smallest grade level, which is 6th grade this year, we've added 1 class with 3rd grade and 2 classes with 4th. And then in the classrooms, this is what our classrooms look like now. They look a lot different than they did last year, where we had kids in pods, but the focus is on that social distancing, making sure they have that 6 feet apart. So all of our classrooms have been organized to be 6 feet apart. Even in classrooms that have double desks, where it looks like students will be sitting right next to each other, what teachers have done is they've assigned an orange student, an orange day, and then a yellow day. So they won't be sitting right next to each other. So that's what social distancing on campus looks like. Any questions?
Yes, there's a question for clarification on the DLO students. When will they start to go online?
So DLO students begin on Monday, the 17th. And they might not begin their work right away because they have to actually get their login. They have to practice their login. They'll watch the introductory video, but they will begin their work on the 17th, like practicing their login. The way that Acellus works is we've signed up all of our students for reading, math, social studies, and science, except for grade 4. I'll get back to that. And they will be, what Acellus does is we say, okay, we're starting on August 17th and we end school on March 28th or May 28th, excuse me. And so what Acellus does is it says, okay, you have this much time. They need to finish this in first quarter, this in the second quarter, and so forth. And then they assign lessons by week. And so parents and children will be able to look at the lessons that are assigned for the week and just make a plan for how they're going to get all of their lessons completed. I did mention that 4th grade didn't sign up their students for one of the classes, and that's social studies. And that's because Acellus doesn't, social studies for 4th grade in Hawaii is focused on Hawaiian studies. And so Acellus doesn't have a Hawaiian studies. And so what our teachers are doing is they are going to be creating the lessons for the students, for all students, and they will be providing those lessons to our DLO students as well as students who do face-to-face. Any other questions?
There's another question about how about recess before and after school? How is that being managed?
So I'm gonna put the before and after school on hold because we're gonna get there. And then recess, I don't think I have anything in recess. So do I have recess? No. Okay. So for recess, we have redesigned, not redesigned our campus. We've just spaced out our campus. And so we have 18 spaces on campus designated so that classrooms can stay within their class. And so we have a really large field fronting our cafeteria, and we have a really large field behind our portables. And so those fields will be split into 8 play areas. So that's 16. The 17th area is on the basketball courts in front of our portables, and the 18th area is our kindergarten playground. So each of our the areas will be divided into quads. And so there were in that quad, they'll be numbered like 1, 2, 3, 4, and areas 1 and 3, let's say, will have a cart with um, with recess and PE equipment that they will be able to use things that are like jump ropes and hula hoops. They have we have socially distanced games like those tennis balls that can be caught on Velcro, or cornhole or tetherball. Um, so it's games that kids can socially distance, and then all teachers have been told that before going into class, they'll need to wash their hands with soap and water, um, so that their hands are clean after playing with the recess equipment. Um, so that's and each of our quad areas will have supervision that will be watching over them. So we're keeping the students in bubbles and making sure that the games that they have are socially distanced games. So that they can still like let out their energy. We're still working with kids and trying to keep them safe at the same time.
There's another question.
Okay.
For DLO students, will they be receiving workbooks or textbooks?
That's gonna differ grade level by grade level. Some because like fourth grade is gonna be teaching them social studies, then yes, they will have some materials that fourth grade will take with them. But Acellus provides everything that students will need to be able to do their reading, math, social studies, and science.
There's another question about recess equipment. Will they be wiped down after the use?
Right. Yes. So that was a big discussion with our teachers as well. And we really kind of went between, are we able to allow our students to play with the equipment safely? Um, and it just felt really weird because already it felt really weird to not provide them with equipment, which is why we decided to do that. And then with the adults, we feel that we'll be able to teach the students like, hey, let's not lick the hula hoops anymore like we used to. So we think that we will be able to teach them that. But at the end of the day, all of the equipment will be put back on the cart. And before the carts are returned to our storage room, they will be disinfected along with the cart by the end before we store them. And then when they're brought out the next day, then they've already been disinfected. So yes. So for our morning drop off, similar to last year or in previous years, we are asking that you do not arrive to campus earlier than 7:15. 7:15 is when we have supervision. And we're also asking that parents don't come on campus. I said it yesterday and I'll say it again. Parents, we love you, but just to help us with social distancing, we need you to not come on campus. We do have waiting areas or areas that we're gathering our students by grade level. Our preschoolers, our teachers will meet them out at the parking lot near the flagpole, and they will walk them to class. For our kindergarteners, they will be inside of the cafeteria with our first graders, and they'll be sitting on the benches that you saw are marked. For our second graders, they'll be downstairs in F building, sitting on one of those stickers that you saw that we had out around campus. Third grade will be upstairs in F building. And again, we have stickers upstairs as well. Fourth grade will be outside of the cafeteria. Fifth grade will be upstairs in E building, and sixth grade will be in the library. And so we chose these areas because from second through sixth grade, second, third, fifth, and sixth, that's fairly close to their classrooms. Fourth grade has a little bit longer walk, but third grade will be already upstairs by the time they get into their building. And for our kindergarten and first graders, they're still young, so their teachers will walk to the cafeteria and pick them up and walk to class. So that's how we're planning to do morning drop off. Any questions there?
There are questions, but they're not related to this yet. So do you want me to hold it or?
Yeah, let's hold on to that. Okay. For afternoon pickup, we're going to do a staggered release. And so for our preschoolers, for our kindergartners, when we're doing our staggered release, any older students that, older siblings that they have will come and meet them at their class or in their waiting area. And that's the same for the walkers. If we have students that walk home together, then the oldest walker will go and pick up the younger siblings at their classrooms. So similarly, so for our staggered exit, our preschool will be leaving at 1:50, and they'll go to the flagpole. Kindergarten, A plus and walkers will be excused at 1:55. So our kindergartners will be by their kinder playground fence. Our A plus will go straight to the cafeteria to be and go inside because that's where they start their A plus. And then our walkers, they don't have a waiting area because they will be leaving campus right away after the older sibling gets their younger sibling, and they'll be either leaving from the front or the back gate. The rest of our students, grades 1 through 6, will be dismissed at 2:05, which is our ending time. And again, so we have assigned areas for everybody. So first grade is downstairs outside of their rooms in E building, second grade outside of their rooms in F building. Third grade will be in our library fire lane. Fourth grade will be outside of the cafeteria again on the street side, so they can see their car. Fifth grade will be in the cafeteria fire lane, and sixth grade will be in the library. And so what we mailed home earlier this week was we mailed home a placard. And so if you have a kindergartner, your placard is red. If you have a first grader, it's orange. And so it's color coded so that will have somebody at the gate when you're driving in, and they will say, oh, kindergarten student Amy Santos from E101. And then we will have, so in all of the waiting areas, we'll have supervision, and they'll all have walkies. And then so they'll say, oh, Amy, mom's here. And they'll send Amy up to meet you at the turnaround in the parking lot. So that's how our afternoon pickup is going to work. Okay, I'm going to move on to our device lending. So we had an original device lending plan, and today we had our first device lending pickup for our DLO students. That went really well. And then we have additional device lending, and I'm not going to go over this because what I'm going to show you is we've had to make changes. So because we adjusted our the way that we're doing our phases by not having students come on during phase 1 next week. Instead, right, we're doing that pickup. Our device lending has also changed. So this is what our current plan looks like. So we had our device lending today, and that was really successful. And so our device lending next week, and I think we went over this just a little bit, is on Monday. We have Orange Group that's picking up. And again, I have the times here, 8:30s for preschool and kinder. Oh, I turned that around, didn't I? First and second will come at 9, third and fourth at 9:30, and fifth and sixth at 10. Then on Wednesday, we have our yellow group pickup, same time frames. And then at the bottom here, you'll notice that we have a Tuesday and a Thursday DLO group pickup from 3 to 4. And again, we understand that, if you're not able to come because you're working or that just doesn't work out, please communicate that with your teacher and we'll coordinate something with you. So Wi-Fi support. Some of our families don't have Wi-Fi, or some of them have Wi-Fi, but you've got, several kids who are at home right now needing to do work, and the Wi-Fi can get glitchy. And so what Dr. Kishimoto has asked all schools to do is open up a learning lab. And so our learning lab will be in the cafeteria. So during our first week for the week of August 17th through the 20th, that's next week, when we're doing our pickups, our learning lab will be open from 11:30 to 2. And 11:30, because our last pickup finishes at 10:30, kids can go home and eat lunch in case they're in that last group. And then they can come to the cafeteria so they can connect to our Wi-Fi. We do have a maximum of 60 people that can be in there. And we are asking parents to accompany their child because there won't be supervision in there for that full amount of time that we have the Learning Lab open. But we do want Wi-Fi to be available to our students that need it. And again, Wi-Fi support continues during our phase 2 Ready to Learn from August 24th through the 11th. And it will be open all day from 8 to 2, again, in the cafeteria. And we do ask parents to accompany their child. Once we get into phase 3, where buildings are to be opened, and that's still to be determined based on our COVID-19 numbers, our lab will be open from 8 to 9:30, because then at 10 o'clock we have students that start to come in for lunch. And so if everybody's out by 9:30, then we can do a disinfecting of the cafeteria before we have people come in to start eating lunch. Any questions?
So there's a question that's asking if they pick up their child's devices, or if they're not picking up their child's devices, not till Wednesday, does that mean that does our child need to do anything for Monday and or Tuesday? So if devices are not picked up till Wednesday, are they required to do anything Monday and Tuesday?
Right. So if your child is not picking up, if you're not picking up till Wednesday for your child, then it's most likely that your child is a yellow student. And so there wouldn't be anything for them to do at that time. And really next week, the 17th through the 20th, it is just a time for us to get devices and to make sure that our students know how to get online. And that they can practice that, so that when we start our learning on the 24th, that they're ready to go and join the WebEx meetings with teachers, or to get online to be able to complete assignments.
The next two questions that I have goes back to sanitation and health and safety. So between grade level sitting for lunch, will the tables and chairs be sanitized?
Yes, so we've changed our lunch schedule. So one, we have less students in there, but two, we have some playtime between each grade level. So once they exit, then we have time to actually do a wiping down and a sanitizing. So yes, it will be sanitized between each grade level.
The last question has to do with high frequency areas, like how often are they going to be cleaned, and what about bathrooms?
Wow, you guys have all the good questions. So for high frequency areas, we do have a schedule for our custodians, and they will be doing bathrooms, high touch areas like doorknobs, library, office, more frequently throughout the day. Our bathrooms are also marked with stickers, so that especially in the boys, because there's urinals, that there will be stickers that show you may use this urinal, and then there won't be a sticker so that they can then use the next urinal. But along with the schedule for the high touch areas of like doorknobs, they will also be doing the bathrooms as a high touch area.
One more question. Are they still able to pick up lunch every day next week?
Yes, so lunch is still available to every student, whether they're on campus or off campus. And we are serving lunch between 11:15 and 11:30. It sounds very short, but it is a grab and go. Students will need their ID that we mailed home. And you can come. The grab and go will be served along the curbside of our cafeteria.
There's one more question, but I'll hold it till the end so you can continue.
So the next thing is our school platform. So we have two school platforms that we're using this year. We have Class Dojo, and Class Dojo is being used by every teacher on campus for communication. And so I believe at this point, all of our teachers have sent out an invitation for you to join their class. And then once you join their class, then they're able to communicate with you. And our kindergarten through second grade students are actually using Classroom Dojo as well for sending out assignments and collecting assignments. Our third through sixth grade students are using Google Classroom to send out assignments and then for students to submit those assignments to their teachers. And so this year we've reduced the number of platforms that we have on campus um, so that it's just easier for parents and to not have to manage so many, and so that we can contact all parents. It's just another way that we can contact all parents in addition to our classroom messenger, as well as our social media sites and our website. Do you have a question? No?
There's a question about will breakfast be provided as well?
So breakfast is also being served as a grab and go, and that is being served from 7:40 to 7:55 in the morning. Same area, curbside along the cafeteria.
For Wi-Fi use, would older siblings that are at like height at Campbell, can they also attend?
Ooh. For the Wi-Fi use, it would need to just be for our Ka'imi students.
Is there, as an option for families without Wi-Fi, is it okay for them to connect the school iPad to free Wi-Fi hotspots in case the cafeteria has reached its max capacity?
Yes. I will always caution the reason why the connecting to the school, and I do understand about capacity, but the reason why it's good to connect to the school is the school has filters on our Wi-Fi, and so it monitor, or it doesn't allow certain content to go through. We keep it PG and G rated. So once you're on somebody else's Wi-Fi, they don't have those filters. And so then it really becomes, making sure that what your child is searching for. And even if they're not searching for something, sometimes ads just pop up that are inappropriate, that don't come up while we have our school Wi-Fi on. We do have monitoring tools at school and things that notify us if inappropriate topics are searched for, and the teacher is notified of it, and then administration is notified. And then what we did last year was we just called parents to let them know that that's what came up on the computer that we were being sent. So we'll just communicate that with you. But yes, you can connect to Wi-Fi that's free so that you can access the internet.
Okay, there's one last question. Is there a plan if a student or staff tests positive for COVID-19?
So the plan is that we follow what the DOE guidance would be and the Department of Health. So right now we have not had a positive test on our campus, but with cases or employees have brought up, well, I know a contact of a contact of a contact, where it's like my brother's coworker's friend tested positive and we just ate dinner. And so we have been checking with the DOH and following their guidance. And so there would be communication as needed to the appropriate groups. It doesn't mean that if there is a positive test, that everybody on campus would be notified. And that's because of HIPAA privacy. And that's just the medical privacy um, where you can't disclose certain information. But certainly we would follow the DOE and the DOH guidance. Any other questions?
There's one more question. For lunch and breakfast, are they free like how they were this summer, or do we have to load money onto the lunch account?
Good question. So Lunches will go back to, it's not going to be free as it was in the summer. It goes back to, if you were free and reduced and your lunches were free, then it will continue to be free and you'll need to fill out a new free and reduced form. But it holds the same status for at least 10 days. Otherwise, yes, you do need to continue to keep money in your account. And because students are not going to be on campus in the beginning, the best way to do that is by going through Easy Pay online.
There's another question that's asking if we opted for blended learning and decided we would rather keep the kids at home at some point, is that an option?
So our distance learning distance learning only option is available, and it's a quarter by quarter commitment. So we ask that once the quarter begins, that you stay in the option that you selected. So right now we're ending our last week, and we did say that we were going to close it last week, but with the rise in cases and um, you know, we've had a few more people that have been interested this week. But starting next week, we are going to close our distance learning, and it will be so your child will be in the hybrid. And the reason why, so the answer is yes. In the second quarter, you would then be able to say, you know what, I need my child to be in the distance learning only. I don't feel safe with them coming back to campus. And so you would be able to opt for that in the second quarter. For people who are asking the question of, can I go in the middle of the quarter? No, and yes. And I say no and yes in the most uncertain of tones, because it's not optimal. It's not the best way to do it. Acellus is a different program than what our teachers are going to be teaching. And so what our teachers are working really hard at is making sure that they're aligning their standards that they're rolling out to their students that are hybrid, so that there is an alignment with our Acellus, but how they're teaching it is different. And so it would be really difficult for the child to come in from the classroom onto Acellus or vice versa, because they're not aligned in exactly how. It's also really difficult for our teachers, because having a student come in midway is very difficult to then onboard them for all the things that they had missed up to that point, which could also then, right, be frustrating for the child. That being said, this is a weird time. And so what we're working on is we're working on empathy, and ask that you have that as well, both for your child as well as for the teacher, and the difficulty in the transition that it may cause if it's mid-semester. That being said, I won't give a hard and fast yes or no. If there's a middle of the quarter transition that's requested, we'll take it on a case by case basis. But I'm just giving you kind of the thought process of why we wouldn't want them to enroll or disenroll from distance learning only into the classroom, just because of the difficulties. But again, we do understand that this is a scary time and information is changing day by day.
There's two more questions, but would you like to finish the last slide before I ask those questions?
Sure. Okay, so for attendance, so our face-to-face attendance, and we're not going to have any face-to-face right now, except for our special groups. But attendance will be, their face-to-face is going to be taken traditionally. If your child's in school, then they will be marked present. And that's something that we're all used to. Online attendance is completely new and different for all of us. And so this is how we're working our attendance, is that if all weekly assignments are completed and submitted, as well as the child attended all their scheduled online meetings, then they will be marked present. So that's how we are doing attendance, is assignment submission as well as attending their meetings that they have scheduled with their teachers. Any questions?
Okay, so one question is asking, will kids have their temperature checked before entering class?
So this is my thank you screen. I'm going to stop sharing at this point. Will students have their temperature checked before entering class? Every one of our classroom teachers has a contactless thermometer, digital thermometer, that is available to them. Teachers are not nurses, and so I am not mandating that they do temperature checks, but they can. It is an option for them to do so. Many of our teachers, I have heard that they are interested in knowing, just because they want to make sure for the student safety as well as their own, that people are not running a fever. But if they do have any suspicions, we do have some questions that we're asking teachers to go through. And if they are concerned about a child and their wellness, they are also advised to send them down to Miss Tina in our health room.
The next question is about lunch and breakfast. If they have multiple siblings, would they be able to pick up lunch at one school?
Mm. So I know that, I am guessing that this is like if they have multiple siblings that are maybe at Elima and Campbell. I know that this is in discussion, and that the state is looking at allowing students to pick up from um, schools that are not their home schools. So at this time, the last word we got was yes. So they are able to pick up their lunch from the school that they are closest to. And then it would be still logged, or it would still be paid for out of that student's account, no matter what school they went to. They do need to bring their ID with them so it can be scanned.
The next question is about DLO. How will they know what the first lesson for DLO is going to be?
So all of our students have been registered for reading, math, science, and social studies, except for fourth grade. And once you log into Acellus, it will recognize that your child and the classes they've been registered for. And once you go through the Acellus onboarding introductory set, then it will show you, okay, so these are the classes you're registered for. These are the lessons that you need to finish within the week. And part of what the onboarding introduction for the students is that it shows them their dashboard and how to navigate their dashboard so that they can find the different areas of how do I access the part of my dashboard that tells me what lessons I have, or how then do I access my reading class or my math class. But once you sign in and go through the onboarding class, then you will have the skills that you need to start on Acellus.
Okay, the next question is a clarification question. So if a person has tested positive or is under quarantine, you will not let the families know that, like not giving names, but just letting us know. So only those who might be affected will be notified.
I'm guessing, I'm interpreting that the question is asking if I'm going to send a blanket letter home to the families. I have not been advised that that is part of the process. And I'm gonna liken this to similar to how the new rule came out about head lice, and we were not able to send home those letters. Please believe me, I do understand that head lice and COVID-19 are not the same or in the same ballpark. I really understand. So it's not that I don't want to make people aware. I just will be following the guidance of the DOE and DOH of who is notified about, and I believe it's a positive. It's not a contact of a positive. So if there is a positive test in the classroom, then the DOH will advise us in how to notify those people within that classroom, or if it is determined that there have been contacts that have been made far-reaching, that have hit too many classrooms, then the DOH may advise us that we do need to send home a letter to whole school because we could be shutting down the school.
The next question, if picking up lunch at one school for children and different schools, will we let the teacher or school know where that will be happening? Oh, if picking up lunch at one school for children in different schools, we let the school or teacher know where that will be happening.
Right. So basically, you're wondering if you need to call in to like reserve a lunch to make sure that we have enough on hand. And the last guidance that we had was no, calls do not need to be made. However, and like this is one of those things that the information is changing. However, that was before they made the decision that students could pick up meals at any school. Now that they're allowing students to pick up lunches at any school, they are trying to come up with a process of how they would let um, the office know. So as of right now, no, there's no need for you to call in how many of your children will be coming to pick up lunch or breakfast that day. If that changes, then every school will be sending out information of what steps need to be taken if you're going to be picking up from a school that your child doesn't attend.
This question is just, I guess, a clarification. Do all students for DL start on August 17th?
Yes. So because our DLO students receive their devices today, they're to start with their DLO on Acellus next week. And very similarly, though, to our students that will be picking up their devices next week, our Acellus students are going to need to, like I said, take that onboarding course, figure out the login. They might be looking at the dashboard. So yes, so they'll be spending a day maybe kind of exploring what Acellus is, and then maybe the next day they'll get started on their lessons. But yes, our DLO students start doing the work on the 17th.
There are no other questions, but there's somebody who wanted to just say mahalo for all the efforts you are putting forth to make the best of such an uncertain and ever-changing situation.
Oh, thank you for that. I do have to say we have this amazing team of people here. Our teachers, our administrators, our office staff, like everybody has just been so amazing. And even just you guys as parents, calling and asking questions and just inquiring. I know that once our teachers started with Class Dojo, they were saying, oh my gosh, my parents have so many questions about, and they were talking about like what it is that you have been asking them. Part of that, like they're communicating that with us is why we're having this coffee hour. We thought maybe it would be helpful for parents to just kind of hear from the school what's going on, because this is school in a way that we've never done it before. So just letting you know that I don't only appreciate all of my teachers and staff that are on this campus, but absolutely appreciate you for, just trying to get the information so you can make this the best school experience for your child. And I do appreciate you guys spending your time with us here on a Friday afternoon. And I just hope you have a great Friday, and we really look forward to seeing you next week, even if it's just in the car to pick up a device. If you guys ever have any questions, please let your teacher know, call the front office. Anyone here would be more than happy to help you figure out whatever it is that we need to do. So thank you very much and have a great weekend. Bye.